Hey thrill seekers! Welcome back to the Bedtime Banshee. Today, I'm diving into a spine-chilling true story about a doll possessed by a demon. Grab a blanket, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it.
I still remember the day my mother gave me Annabelle. It was my 28th birthday, and she had picked up this old Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store, thinking it would be a charming addition to my room. Its calico dress was faded but intact, and its red yarn hair framed a face with black button eyes that seemed to sparkle with a quiet cheer. I smiled when I unwrapped it, placing it carefully on my bed in the small apartment I shared with Angie, my fellow nursing student. Little did I know that this innocent-looking doll would become the source of my greatest fears. At first, everything was normal. Angie and I went about our routines, studying for exams, sharing coffee in the mornings, and laughing over late-night study sessions. Annabelle sat on my bed, a silent observer to our lives. But then, I started noticing things. Small things. I'd leave Annabelle on the chair in the corner of my room, and when I returned, she'd be on the bed, her legs neatly crossed. I thought maybe I was misremembering where I'd placed her. Or perhaps Angie was playing a prank. "Angie, have you been moving Annabelle around?" I asked one evening, holding the doll in my hands. She looked at me, puzzled, her brow furrowing. "No, why would I do that? It's just that I keep finding her in different places," I said, feeling a bit foolish. Angie laughed, her voice light but tinged with unease. "Maybe she's got a mind of her own." We both chuckled, but a knot formed in my stomach. The apartment, once cozy with its warm lamplight and soft rugs, began to feel different. Shadows seemed to linger in corners, and the air carried a faint chill, even on warm nights. One night, I woke to use the bathroom. As I passed the living room, I froze. Annabelle was sitting on the couch, her back to me, her head tilted slightly as if listening. My heart pounded. I was certain I'd left her in my room. The apartment was silent, the only sound the faint hum of the refrigerator. I hurried back to bed, pulling the covers over my head, telling myself it was a dream. But the next morning, there she was, still on the couch, her button eyes staring blankly at the wall. I confronted Angie again, but she swore she hadn't touched the doll. Her eyes mirrored my growing unease. We tried to rationalize it, a draft, a forgetful moment, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. The incidents grew more frequent. Annabelle appeared in different rooms, sometimes standing upright, sometimes lying on her side, always in places we hadn't left her. One afternoon, we found her perched on the kitchen table, her arms outstretched as if reaching for something. Then, one day, we found a piece of parchment paper on the floor near the doll. In childish scrawled handwriting were the words, "Help us." Angie and I stared at each other, our breaths shallow. "Who wrote this?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I don't know," Angie replied, her hands trembling. "It wasn't me." We locked Annabelle in a closet, hoping to contain whatever was happening. But the next morning, the closet door was ajar, and Annabelle was back on my bed, her head turned toward the door as if waiting for me. The air in the room felt heavy, oppressive, like a storm about to break. Sleep became a battle. I'd lie awake, staring at Annabelle, convinced her eyes followed me. Sometimes, I swore I heard a faint giggle, like a child's, echoing in the dark. Nightmares plagued me, visions of Annabelle crawling toward me, her button eyes glowing red, her cloth hands reaching for my throat. I'd wake up gasping, only to find her sitting at the foot of my bed, exactly where she'd been in my dreams. Lou, Angie's fiancé, started staying over more often, and his presence only made things worse. He'd always been skeptical, dismissing ghost stories with a laugh, but he hated Annabelle from the start. "That doll gives me the creeps," he'd say, avoiding her gaze. One morning, he burst into the kitchen, his face pale, his voice shaking. "That doll was on my bed last night," he said. I woke up, and it was right next to me, staring at me. Angie and I exchanged glances. "Maybe you brought it in there yourself," I suggested, though I didn't believe it. "No, I didn't," Lou insisted. He lifted his shirt to reveal 3 long scratches on his chest, red and angry, as if something had clawed him. "And this happened after I threw it across the room?" Terror gripped me. This wasn't just a moving doll. This was something malevolent. Something that could hurt us. The apartment, once a haven, felt like a trap. Lights flickered for no reason, cold spots appeared in random corners, and the sound of creaking floorboards echoed when no one was walking. We knew we needed help. A friend mentioned Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators known for handling cases like ours. Desperate, we contacted them, and they agreed to visit. When they arrived, Ed and Lorraine listened intently to our story, their expressions grave. Ed examined Annabelle, his hands hovering over her as if sensing something invisible. "There's a presence here," he said, his voice low. "It's not human." Lorraine nodded, her eyes filled with concern. "We need to act quickly." Ed's words sent a chill down my spine. "This doll isn't possessed by a spirit," he said. "It's being used by a demon. A demon that wants to possess one of you." "A demon? In my home?" The words felt unreal, like something from a horror movie. Lorraine placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "We'll take care of it," she said. "But you must be careful. Don't engage with it. Don't talk to it. And whatever you do, don't invite it in." They performed a blessing on the apartment, their voices steady as they recited prayers. The air seemed to lighten, the oppressive weight lifting slightly. Then, they took Annabelle, placing her in a locked case. "We'll keep her in our museum," Ed said. "She'll be contained, unable to harm anyone." As I watched them drive away with Annabelle, I felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief that the nightmare might be over, but dread that it wasn't truly gone. What if the demon found another way? Months passed, and life returned to a semblance of normalcy. No more moving dolls, no more scratches, no more cryptic notes. But the scars remained. Not the physical ones, but the ones in my mind. Sometimes, when I'm alone in the apartment, I think I hear a faint giggle, like a child's, echoing in the dark. I tell myself it's just my imagination, a trick of the mind. But late at night, when the world is quiet, I wonder if Annabelle is still out there, waiting, her button eyes gleaming, searching for a new host.
Thanks for diving into the shadows with us tonight. If you enjoyed this dark tale, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more mysterious bedtime stories. Sleep tight, if you dare.